Recently, we got to visit Josh Slayton of Slaydog Props in Sherwood, Arkansas, to see all the neat things he makes. He makes some really awesome stuff. He had some really cool things on hand that we got to check out. He makes everything from Mass Effect weapons to dead mouse heads. We got to talk to him and find out more in depth about the things he makes, and he showed us around his shop and talked about the process he goes through to make them.
My name is Josh Slayton. I run a small business called Slaydog Props where I make replica props from movies, anime, TV shows, and video games, and even music sometimes. But Slaydog has been like a nickname in my family ever since my dad's been in the Air Force. One of his buddies used to be with him used to always call him Slaydog, just wherever. So it just kind of stuck. We all always used to like mess around saying oh, there's Slaydog Props, so where all business is going to be. So it's like, I just stuck with it. I actually started when I was in 9th grade probably, when I became homeschooled at the time. So I had all this free time, and I always used to, ever since I was little, I used to be like intrigued of how they made movie props in movies. So like, I always thought to myself, it'd be really cool to have a real Iron Man suit, or a real Daft Punk helmet. So one day it's like, I got all this time to make it. A lot of people say it takes 5 months. I got all that time.
What or who are some of your influences that inspire you to create these things?
It's probably Harrison Cricks from Vulcan Props. I've really learned a lot from his build threads and everything. And there's Punish Props, Bill Duran. There's Sorenzo Props, Two Story Props, and a lot more, but those are probably my favorite prop makers. I plan on making a lot more dead mouse heads, because dead mouse heads are really fun to make for me, and it's easier to cosplay, I guess, because it just goes over your head and you can just wear whatever you want. And a lot of people seem to be impressed with that, because you don't really see that much good dead mouse heads, usually made out of paper mache and whatnot. And I plan on making soon a full fiberglass Iron Man suit with motorized weapons and stuff like that, and a lot more in the future. Well, this was made about the same way the Mass Effect gun was made. Mm-hmm. It's just pretty much, well, it's made of the same stuff, but a little differently than the technique. It's pretty much just layering and layering small pieces of wood to create the detail, and then sanding in so you can see the lines better. How the Mass Effect gun was every piece was individual, so it had 20 pieces, and I had to put together to make one piece. And then there's one big frame that held each piece together. So this one, it's just cutting the main shape and then just layering pieces to create the detail. And sand smooth it and paint, and you're done. That's pretty much how that is. And then this is pretty much step one of a helmet that would most likely start any helmet, or most helmet. Is pretty much you start a skeleton or a frame of, let's say it can either be a Mass Effect helmet, Skyrim helmet, or Daft Punk helmet, and then you just start working inside out to create one detail at a time. Next I would be adding some foam, some foam blocks into it, and then carving what the shape is, doing some Bondo work on it, and then adding this dents, the hammer dents, what it would be on a Skyrim helmet, and then it'll just start like that.
What would happen after that?
After that, it would be, of course, you can't wear it, so it would be making a silicone mold. I mean, I wish I had a mold out here, but it's pretty much covering the whole thing in 4 layers of silicone. And then you take it off, and then once you have that mold, you can pour fiberglass in it, resin, anything in it that hardens. You pull out, and you got a wearable helmet. All you gotta do is do a couple of trimming and sanding and painting, and it's done. So that's what I like to do, so I can make a profit out of making this stuff. Or if a friend wants to make it. And then for something like this, it's pretty most simple. Is pretty much drawing up the basic sword on some wood, and then just carving it down with a band sander or a bandsaw. Band sander. And so getting the shape as perfect as I can get, then cutting these out, carving these lines out, and it's pretty much done. All it just needs is some silicone. And these pieces are about the same way, just shaping a piece of wood. This is actually epoxy sculpt. It's not perfect, but it's supposed to be the jam.
Hey, can I see that?
Here. And this is the same, so it's just supposed to be like that. So yeah, that's pretty much how most stuff goes.
Yeah.
Most other stuff like armor, like is made out of foam mat.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like them mostly make costumes out of,
Mm-hmm.
because it's cheaper and it's a lot more easier to
Mm-hmm.
do than like a full fiberglass suit, because that takes like a lot longer than a foam suit, like a couple years maybe if you want it perfect, and then a lot cheaper if you, of course, if you want to make a mold of the suit, which is a lot more expensive. But that's pretty much how most stuff is made. This is probably one of the most tools that I use. It's a scroll saw. I use it for cutting wood, foam, acrylic, Sintra, anything that's cuttable on here that I can get up on here. So this is probably one of the most usable tools I use here. And of course, there's a hand sander that I use. This is probably another tool I mostly use, just to get a basic shape of, or a rough shape of, anything that I want, like a helmet or a helmet. I don't know anything else I would use it for, but I mean, a lot more stuff. I mostly use it for helmets, but it's definitely helped me a lot. So.
Right.
And let's see. Probably another tool I mostly use is a Dremel. Of course, I probably went through about 5 of these in like 1 year. They they burn out so easily. This one stuck with me a little bit longer, about a couple months. But this one I definitely use a lot. Like, you have no idea.
And what do you use it for?
Use it for detail work, trimming some access, like fiberglass, trimming nets, or a little bit of fine sanding, carving wood, carving foam, stuff like that. Smaller stuff where I can't reach into, and tough stuff where I can't just cut with scissors. So this really helps.
And you take commissions, right?
Yes, I do. I'm actually working on one commission for a client of mine, Commander Wolf from Clone Wars, Clone Trooper. So, I mean, that's taken forever for me to finish, but it's getting close. Yeah, I do take commissions every once in a while, so it may have to keep my feet on track.
Right.
Whatnot. I think that's pretty much most of the tools I use. And there's a bunch of stuff like a heat gun, mini tables, all that sucks that I never use. And then this sander that I thought it would be really good, but it's not that good. Not definitely not as good as that one. And then there's actually, never mind. It's in my room. I have a drill press.
Yeah.
But my brother used it, and it's in my room. I just keep forgetting to put it in here.
Is it a big one?
It's like about that big.
I mean, those things are heavy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty heavy. And then, I use this a lot. This is probably something I use a lot. I mean, it's not the best, but I use this to keep, like, if I cut something on that, then I'll straighten it out and make it smoother on this. And keeping the lines.
And what is that thing?
It's a table belt sander. I think that's what it's called. It's called a belt sander. It's a belt. So, I use this a lot, actually. So these are most of the tools I use. They really help a lot. And then, of course, probably the number one thing that I use is probably a respirator. I used to use this one, but then stuff kept flying in my face. So I use this a lot. So
I had that one.
yeah, this one helps so much. It's a lifesaver. So
Number one tool right there.
safety first.
Yeah, safety first.
Yeah, these are. I made a mold of the Death One helmet, but it was terrible. It's embarrassing how terrible it is. So these were just test casts. You can see how lumpy it is and warped. So the one I actually started using was I had to smooth all this out. So these are just I had to cut the visor out to make the visor mold. So
And you also sell kits, right?
I have a couple kits. Selling a couple. I'm selling a Iron Man kit, which is about a 4-piece kit. Comes with a main helmet, faceplate, and then 2 ears. And then I'm selling a Skyrim helmet kit, which is a 3-piece kit, 2 orange and the main helmet. Which that one, once you get it, it's like casted with metal powder, so you can buff it with steel wool, and it gets a real metal shine.
Yes.
So it gets a realism into a Skyrim helmet. And I think that's all I have. I have pre-orders of the Daft Punk helmet, so it can help fund making a mold out of it.
And where can people find you?
At facebook.com/Slaydog Props. I have a website, hopefully. Trying to figure all that out, but that'll be soon. I think that's pretty much it, Facebook. So.
And you sell stuff on Etsy, right?
Oh yeah, of course, Etsy. So Etsy.com/Slaydog Props.